6 disturbing 4chan threads. OP is an abbreviation for original poster, just an FYI. Number 6. Making crystals can be quite interesting, and it's certainly a fun task to see what you create. But if you are a user on 4chan, it's probably best to be careful when carrying out tutorials that you find on these boards, because if you are uninformed on what exactly you are doing, then it could be deadly. In 2009, a user posted a tutorial to 4chan detailing how to make really cool crystals. It gave a list of steps on how to make these crystals, which included ingredients such as pennies and salt. The last step was to take a straw and blow bubbles into it, and the result would be the picture that was attached. Several anons replied to this thread, implying they were going to attempt this. Unbeknownst to them, the details listed were in fact not how to make crystals, but instead, the steps detailed was a tutorial on how to make chlorine gas, and essentially a trick which could lead to a potentially very painful death. One user even posted days later describing his trip to the hospital and how 4chan almost killed him. Number 5. A user in 2012 had claimed to have found an old grenade in the woods. After this, he posted a thread to 4chan asking other users what to do with it. The threads gained a little popularity and the suggestions rolled in. First, he was asked to show the bottom of the grenade to prove that it was in fact dangerous, as the military normally drill the bottom out for practice purposes. The bottom had not been drilled and was in fact potentially dangerous. Another suggestion had asked the original poster to actually pull the pin, in which he obliged however dangerous this could be. The pin did not pull off, however, and instead, the whole top of it broke off. The grenade seemed to be old, deteriorated, and useless. OP was then asked to light a fire in the woods and throw the grenade in it, but claimed he couldn't, so instead, he decided to try and microwave it, and once again, nothing happened. He then tried what was previously asked, and still, no results. Finally, he tried to run over the grenade with a car, which he claimed had no effect either, asking what he should do next. But this time, something strange happened. Despite the fact that the original poster was given suggestions and seemed to have been eager to post updates on their stupidity with the grenade, this was the last the thread heard from the original poster. It's unknown what happened to OP, but I think it goes without saying that you shouldn't fuck around with grenades, regardless of how lifeless and useless they may seem. But this wasn't the first instance of possible death by grenades on 4chan. In 2009, a 4chan user was looking for his father's old stuff after he had passed away, and to his surprise, he found an old grenade. He'd showed the bottom of the grenade to other anons to prove that it may not be inactive, where it was in fact not drilled. One user claimed it was plastic, and OP replied with a picture of him burning it, proving it was metal. The last suggestion, though, had asked him to toss the grenade in the toilet, don't flush, and wait for an epic fountain in which the original poster obliged. The next morning, a Guatemalan news website reported on a destroyed home, which may have been the result of a detonated grenade. Number 4. Of all the fucked up things that have come out of 4chan, the most disturbing are sometimes the saddest. On November the 29th, 2007, a user posted a thread to the B board asking users to correctly guess their own post number. The reward for said task would be to learn the location of where the girl in the photo attached to the thread was buried. Sometimes threads like these pop up and it can usually be assumed that they are hoaxes by some user trying to toy with other anons with some fucked up prize that doesn't exist. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case. After a user guessed their own post number correctly, the original poster quickly responded with a set of coordinates. These coordinates were pinpointed just outside El Dorado in Kansas. The next day, a correlation was found. On November 30th, the body of a missing student called Emily Sander was discovered. The body was found just 50 miles from El Dorado. Number 3. There's been some creepy exploration threads on 4chan, but what makes some of these truly creepy and disturbing is the mystery around them. A user in 2012 had posted about how his last living grandparent, his grandfather, had passed away at the old age of 89. OP explains that he was extremely paranoid and that they were never allowed to stay at their grandfather's home, which may have been for the best. OP's grandfather's wife had passed away in 1965, and after that, had become fearful of a nuclear apocalypse and war with the communists, which, due to the Red Scare, was a real possibility. In response to this, OP's grandfather had dug out a bomb shelter out of rock and limestone on his property, and since OP's grandfather had died, OP decided to explore the shelter, which they'd never previously seen before. The original poster had asked previously about the cave, but his grandfather had only ever said, "It's just a damned." OP said he didn't catch what he said after damned, but it was creepy enough to have them never question it again, and his grandfather told him never to go down there. Once OP started exploring, the first thing OP had found was a toilet, which was kinda par for the course due to the nature of a bomb shelter, but it was old and had deteriorated. He then found garbage further down the hallway, which indicated that his grandfather may have started to give up on the project. Further down the hallway, after it curved off to the left in the previous picture, while OP was expecting to hit a flat wall of rock, he had instead found a huge rusted iron padlock door. As it was old and rusted, OP was able to open it rather easily with a rock to bust the padlock. They had then used a shovel to open the door as it was very heavy. The only thing back there was a hallway that had abruptly ended where his grandfather stopped digging. But off to the right, there was another hallway in which OP followed. Inside the room that this went off to, OP claims that it looked more like a cavern than a bomb shelter, and as he started looking around, he found a lot of carvings in the stone and noticed that there were carvings of faces everywhere. They claimed that there were 6 or 7 faces, all with varying expressions, all facing a cross carving, as if they were worshipping something. After that, something even more peculiar was discovered. When OP looked down to the ground below a skull carving, which seemed out of place compared to the carvings of faces, there was a human bone sitting on top of concrete rubble. As the user looked around, he found more bones, seemingly cemented into the concrete. After thinking he heard a laugh or something similar, he ran out of the room in a panic. Strangely, the post about the bones had been deleted. Some users suggested that his grandfather had said previously that "it's just a damned ossuary," is what OP had claimed the word sounded like after he had said damned, which was something like "a slow air." Could have been similar sounding to ossuary, depending on the grandfather's accent. An ossuary is defined as a chest, building, or site made to serve as the final resting place of human skeletal remains. After this, OP claimed that they heard someone knocking at the door before the thread randomly 404'd. Number 2. There have been several instances where people have posted to 4chan before claiming to have done something harmful or out of the ordinary. Some of these are shrouded in mystery as to whether the user had actually did as said or whether the post was a hoax. But one particular case of this happened on September the 30th in 2015. An anonymous user posted on the board R9K, a board where virgins, known as robots, essentially shitpost, complain about normies, and talk about a whole range of topics. This thread consisted of OP telling other robots, as they were known, "Some of you guys are alright. Don't go to school tomorrow if you're in the Northwest. Happening Fred tomorrow morning. So long, space robots. With an attached image of Pepe the Frog holding a gun. October 1st, the following day, the Umpqua Community College in Roseburg, Oregon was attacked in one of the deadliest mass shootings in the state of Oregon's history. 26-year-old student Christopher Harper Mercer entered the school at around 10 a.m. and killed 8 students, 1 assistant teacher, and injured 7 to 9 others. He'd also taken his own life. After this shooting, the 4chan post became infamous, and it was heavily questioned whether this was a post by the perpetrator or a mere coincidence. Regardless of the circumstances, the fact that the shooting happened the day after in the Northwest region, as predicted, is certainly a disturbing consistency. Number 1. Out of all the posts detailed here, this is the most disturbing and fucked up instance of a 4chan-based tragedy. In 2014, a user posted to the B-board an image of a dead woman who had seemingly been strangled. The text on this post read, "Turns out it's way harder to strangle someone to death than it looks in the movies." After this, he posted a reply with another image and text that read, "She fought so damn hard." This continued with more images of the dead strangled woman being posted and messages from the original poster saying things such as, "Check the news from Washington in a few hours," and even more sadistic, "Her son will be home from school soon." Several users accused the original poster of lying and that the post was merely bait, but this unfortunately was not the case at all, because the same day it was reported that the police were investigating the death of a woman in her home in the Port Orchard area of Washington. The woman in the photos, Amber Lynn Coplin, was found dead in her home when her 13-year-old son arrived home from school to find his mother strangled and lying lifeless on her bed. The user was a 33-year-old named David Kallick, who was Amber's boyfriend at the time. He was arrested by the police 20 miles from Portland, Oregon, contrary to his claims he would commit suicide from death by cop using a realistic BB gun, and was charged for second-degree murder. The man may now sit behind bars and facing punishment for his crimes, but her son may be affected by this for the rest of his life.